Mexico fee grid reliability, what nearshoring operators face, what CFE's summer reliability record means for manufacturers who moved production to Mexico. Mexico's nearshoring boom brought significant manufacturing investment south of the border. The power reliability environment those facilities are now operating in was not the one used in the original location analysis. Summer is when that gap becomes operationally visible. Mexico's Comisión Federal de Electricidad, CFE, declared a state of emergency in the national electricity system more than 3 times during the summer of 2024. Power outages affected at least 21 of Mexico's 32 states during that period, with significant disruptions in Quintana Roo, Guerrero, Oaxaca, Jalisco, and coastal Yucatan. The National Energy Control Center, CENE, recorded grid reserve margins falling to approximately 3% in May 2024, against a regulatory minimum of 6% for stable operations. The Jalisco Industrial Corridor alone estimated $12 to $15 million in losses from the May 24 events. National manufacturing losses during major outage events reach an estimated $200 million per hour, according to industry analysis. The scale of Mexico's nearshoring investment boom makes the reliability question more consequential. Foreign direct investment, FDI, into Mexico exceeded $36 billion in 2023, driven heavily by manufacturing relocations from Asia and facility expansions by North American companies seeking supply chain proximity to the U.S. market. The industrial parks in Monterrey, Saltillo, San Luis Potosi, and Querétaro that anchored the nearshoring narrative were not presenting summer grid reliability statistics alongside labor cost and logistics comparisons. Those statistics have now accumulated. Why the nearshoring location analysis may have missed the reliability exposure. The wave of manufacturing relocations that accelerated from 2022 onward was driven by labor cost, supply chain proximity, and the tariff environment created by trade policy shifts. Energy cost appeared favorably in those analyses. Mexico's industrial electricity rate averaged 0.117 to 0.119 per kilowatt-hours in 2025, comparable to Tennessee and Illinois, and significantly below New York or Michigan rates. The reliability record, however, is a different number than the rate. Companies that evaluated Mexico on energy cost without modeling grid reliability were solving half the equation. Survey data from Mexico's industrial park operators found that 91% of parks have experienced power supply failures. The specific failure modes that drive manufacturing losses go beyond full blackouts. Voltage sags, surges, and microcortas lasting milliseconds to seconds cause computer numerical control (CNC) machines to lose positioning data, robotics controllers to fault and require recalibration, and programmable logic controllers (PLCs) to reset mid-cycle. These are not headline events. They are accumulated operational costs that often do not surface in quality or equipment reports as grid origin problems. Power quality monitoring firms operating in Mexican industrial corridors report that voltage disturbances at CNC-heavy facilities during summer peak periods can reduce effective machine uptime by 6% to 12%, a figure that shows up in scrap rates and maintenance logs rather than outage statistics. Mexico's energy reform and what it changed for private contract options. The March 2025 energy reform under President Sheinbaum moved in a direction that tightens CFE's market position rather than opening competition. CFE is now required to generate at least 54% of Mexico's total electricity supply. Private generators, which had been steadily expanding market share, face new constraints. For industrial operations that had been building energy strategies around private power purchase agreement (PPA) options, the reform changed the available contracting landscape and reduced the alternatives available for managing CFE reliability risk through private supply arrangements. CFE's $8.2 billion transmission expansion plan, running from 2025 to 2030, targets northern manufacturing corridors, with 58 transmission projects across 25 states planned for 2026 and 2027. After the 2024 summer events, CFE accelerated combined cycle plant commissioning in Salamanca and San Luis Potosi and outlined additional capacity at El Sauz in Querétaro, Manzanillo, and Mérida. The Mexico Energy Ministry stated publicly that maintaining operational reserve margins above 12% is a government priority heading into peak demand periods. CFE reported maintaining that margin through the first half of 2025. The restoration record after Guerrero and Oaxaca disruptions in 2025, approximately 95 days to full service, reflects a geographic and logistical challenge that summer heat can expose regardless of National Reserve margin performance. What operations leaders at Mexican facilities should verify before peak heat season? Facilities operating within established manufacturing campuses with dedicated electrical infrastructure and professional management face fewer disruptions than standalone operations. That distinction matters when assessing where the remaining exposure is concentrated. For standalone facilities and operations in regions outside the northern manufacturing corridor that CFE is prioritizing for investment, the summer planning question is whether on-site generation capacity is sufficient to maintain critical production lines through a multi-hour outage, and whether the maintenance calendar for that backup equipment has been completed before June. CFE issues grid alerts when emergency reserves are constrained. An operations team receiving that alert for the first time in July, without a pre-tested load prioritization protocol, is making production decisions under pressure that a straightforward contingency planning exercise could have resolved before the season started. You've been listening to Sustainability Soundbites by Environment+Energy leader. For partnership opportunities, please reach out to our team.